I just think it's more a mentality thing to me. I don't know what it is, but like I just kind of figured it out up there. Like my mental state, like when
Mm.
I'm on the mound, kind of just like F you kind of thing.
Hey, pleasure to have Porter Hodge here on the set of Man. Porter, I'm a huge fan, really excited to have you on, but I have to start with the question, what's up with the hair, man? For those of you that are watching on the YouTube channel, you can see it. Porter's on the right. This is high school prom right here. Porter, talk
Yeah,
me through this haircut, and it looks like it's coordinated with your buddy here.
that's actually my twin, by the
That's
way.
your twin? Oh my
Yeah.
god. Uh it's not
Well,
identical, right?
no, we're fraternal.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it started off with a little come over, and then my sister, she was in hair, so I don't know, we just liked her dyeing our hair, and it was just kind of what was in, you know.
There you go.
A lot of the baseball boys did that, so it's just like it is what it is.
Uh, some have the mohawk, some have the comb over. You got
Yeah,
the
yeah,
comb over
definitely not
with
a good
the
phase. Good phase.
yeah. Hey,
But
we all
yeah,
go through it.
we
We
go
all go
through
through
phases.
it. Hey, brother, welcome onto the show. That's a great way for us to get started here. But hey, I just want to let you know, I like to do a lot of research before I interview any Cubs players or coaches on my team, and usually I can get some sort of, I call it dirt. It's not really dirt. It's just some fun stuff, some inside jokes, something. And I couldn't find anything on you. Like the hair thing was the only thing I could find. And even Moscos, I talked to him the other day, and he's like, dude, he's just like a good kid. He stays out of trouble. So like, have you just always stayed out of trouble? Like, what's the story behind that?
I don't know. I just like always keeping busy, you know. I just always working out. Like I'm always doing something, you know. That's just how I am. That's how I was raised, you know. I hate just sitting and doing nothing. Like I don't play any video games. I don't do any of that stuff. So it's just like I don't know. It's just part of me, I guess.
Okay, so you're never chilling with Steel and playing MLB the Show, nothing like that.
Nah, just that stuff doesn't really intrigue me that much. So
I won the 2000, what was it, 6 World Series on MLB the Show with the Cubs, and like that was the highest of highs in a video game I'd ever have. I'm like, well, it can't get any better than this, so
yeah, literally.
I'm not gonna play anymore. So I'm right there with you, brother. What do you do in your free time? I mean, it sounds like you're keeping yourself busy. Like when you're not baseballing, what are you doing?
It depends because obviously I train 4 days a week. So I like to do Pilates, go hiking. I do some reading. Whenever I'm home, I like to go camping, but it's very hard to do that, especially during the winter. But I like to go hiking down here. I don't know, chill by a fire, and hang out with
Okay.
the family. So.
What kind of reading is that? Non-fictional, fictional, self-help? What are you doing?
I do a lot of self-help books.
Nice.
Read a lot of thriller. James
Oh,
Patterson. He's one of my probably like one of my top ones. I'm reading this book right now. It's called the Institute.
okay.
Um, I'm having a hard time getting through it because it's not really like intriguing that much in my opinion. So it's just like just dragging along, but it's just like you can't just not put it down halfway through. So that's just what I'm doing right now.
So I got a
Trying to
question
get
for
through
you.
it.
Give me like one or two of your favorite self-help books, because I'm just curious from like a baseball player perspective, what you're reading versus like what I would be reading from a business perspective.
I mean, you've probably heard of Atomic Habits.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I think Atomic Habits is a good one
Yeah.
because I don't know, you're very habitual as a professional player. So doing that one and Seven Habits, or yeah, the Seven Habits.
Of highly effective people.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
yeah.
Check out Chop Wood, Carry Water. That is one of my
Copwood.
Chop Wood, Carry Water. One of my favorites. It's only like 90 pages and it's really big text,
Yeah,
but it's like after you read one or two pages, you're like, whoa, I have to process what I just read there because it's such good. Like it makes you reflect on life so much. But
yeah.
that one's really good about like enjoying the process and not focusing on the result. So, good one if you're looking for one to read.
I read a another one. I forget what it's called, but have you ever heard of the rugby team called the Blacks, I think?
Uh-uh.
It's this rugby team, and they have like a huge like standard for their team and all that stuff. I forget what it's called, but it's really a good book. I liked it a lot. It's just like the way their culture was
Okay.
built and how they stick to it, and it makes sense why they're that good. So I'm
Okay.
gonna have to. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the Blacks. I'm sure if you search up the Blacks
Yeah.
rugby team, like it'll pull up.
Good good old Google machine should
Yeah,
point me to it. All right,
yeah,
cool, man. Well, we're going to talk a lot about your rookie season here. We're going to talk a pretty decent amount about some of the things that happened within that season. You had an extremely eventful rookie season, from being a part of no hitters to crazy, whatever you want to call them, panic attack or shortness of breath. We'll talk about some of that stuff. We'll talk about your major league debut, but I want to kind of start before you actually, even were drafted. And I've always wondered this. You're from Utah.
yeah.
How does a cold weather state allow you to become really good at a warm weather sport? Like, did you just have to do a bunch of stuff inside? Like, how does that work?
Well, I mean, we have indoor facilities, so
Okay.
and at my high school, we were very grateful to have our own indoor facility
Very nice.
because there was this guy that had a lot of money and he donated a lot of facilities to our school, so that was one of them that was donated. So that's what made me good, and like we were able to do that stuff because a lot of other high schools have to share with the gym usually
Hmm.
with the basketball team, and it's usually like you can't be in there that long anyways, so like it was super nice. I had good coaches. Chris Shelton, I don't know if you know that name,
The
but
name's familiar.
he played with the Tigers.
Okay.
He had kind of like a crazy first year. He hit like 30 bombs one year, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. We had him as a coach, and it's just like we just had a good coaching staff, so
Did your twin play with you?
yeah.
Awesome. Now, was there any sort of friendly rivalry there, or like was it all about support for siblings? Like, how did that go?
I mean, I wouldn't say a rivalry because, like, I mean, we were both good at hitting. You know, he played center field, I played first, and I pitched, and he didn't. So it's just like we always kind of did our own thing.
Did he go beyond past high school?
He did. He went to Salt Lake Community College
Oh,
for
cool.
3 years because the COVID year, and then he transferred to NAIA, Southeastern in Lakeland, and then he quit because he's a little dumb.
Oh man, that's I don't even know if there's another question to ask beyond that, but that's fun.
Yeah.
uh I love it. So you actually got drafted right after high school. Was there any offers to college? Was that a big decision for you to toggle between the two? What went into that decision for accepting the draft spot?
I just thought it was best for me because like I knew right off the bat like they were gonna take care of me because like I'm young, I didn't go to college really, so they kind of could build a base for me.
Hmm.
And if I went to college, they somewhat probably wouldn't make me better because in college they only care about really winning, unless you go to a well-built college that has always brought out good players, like your
Hmm.
Vanderbilts or whatever TCUs, like if you
Yeah.
actually have a good coaching staff like that. And I was committed to Utah, and like I mean, I wasn't really too like
Excited.
committed to go there because it
Got it.
was kind of like a last resort kind of thing. And I was committed to CSN also, which is a junior college. It's where Bryce Harper went.
Yeah.
And I was more leaning to that anyways, but I just, like I said, just thought the draft was where it felt right. I had offers to U of A and TCU, but it's just like out of state tuition's not it.
Now, were the Cubs kind of trying to sell you on like, hey, come straight to us right after high school, or was there any sort of deep conversations with the organization that would even bring that up?
I wouldn't say not really any deep conversations. They just
Mhm.
obviously really wanted me, and
Okay.
the scout Steve McFarland, he's still with us. He was just he was very straightforward with us, which we really appreciated because like a lot of the scouts can beat around the bush and just lie. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So he was just very straightforward. He's been in it for a long time, so it's easy to lean towards the Cubs for sure.
The reason I ask that is because it seems like today a lot more pitchers are being recruited and drafted out of high school because there's this idea of like, hey, there's only so many bullets in the gun for these guys, especially with the emphasis on velocity and everything. So, was there ever any either talks about that, or was there ever any like thoughts in your mind of committing out of high school because of just like, hey, one worrying about any sort of injuries that could happen in your early 20s?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just like when you go to pro ball, like they care more about you, like
Yeah,
they have the resources to get you better and like take care of you. So it's just like more of a cushion.
cool. I like it. Last year, you were with the Smokies, Double A, Tennessee. You guys won the championship. You look back at that roster, man, and you talk about the top 100 prospects on the Cubs with PCA, Shaw, Casey, Horton, Ballesteros. Like that team was stacked. How much
Yeah.
how much fun was that to be a part of and to essentially or eventually celebrate, on the field
I
with that
mean,
champ?
I was very grateful to have a really good minor league come up because like every team I was on, like we would always win. So it's definitely something good to be a part of. Getting the back-to-back championships and playing with all the good players. It was just fun baseball.
Yeah. What was you know, when you're on the same roster with so many of these guys that are probably even going to get call ups this year, like who are these guys compared to what the media talks about with scouts? And I don't know how much you pay attention, but like especially is there like one guy that you're like, hey, this dude's a dude. Like he's the guy that the scouts say he is. He's going to make an impact in the major leagues. Is there a guy that stands out that you've played with through the minors that you're just like, that's the guy?
Yeah, I would definitely say Owen Casey.
Mm.
He's very consistent in my opinion. You always know what you're gonna get out of him every day, I feel like. Obviously had people have those days where they get in slumps, whatever, but he's like in my opinion, he's been the most consistent from what I've dealt with him.
What would you say if someone were to ask you right now, like, hey, what's so special about Owen Casey? And when he comes up to the Cubs, like, what's the type of player that we can expect to see out at Wrigley Field?
I feel like just the energy he brings, like he's a good at bat to watch. He takes really good at bats, good hacks. Like he's just like so powerful and like
Mm.
everything just about him. Like he has a cannon. He's got the red hair.
Yeah, there you go.
He's just he's gonna be fun to watch, that's for sure.
Two outfielders on the Cubs with red hair. That's going to be a weird thing one day.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, I didn't even know about the cannon until I was watching some highlights. I don't even think he threw the guy out at third, but I saw the arm and I was just like, whoa,
Yeah,
like,
he's got a hose.
yeah, that's exciting.
Absolute hose, yeah.
Cool, man. So I'm going to share a video here and you probably recognize this. This is from your debut. Dude, like you came out just firing fastballs to essentially murder's row of the Braves. Like, was that the plan, or you were one pitch away from an immaculate
I
inning, which is
know.
wild? Talk me through this.
I mean, I don't know. It's just like I hadn't pitched in a few days, so my plan was to obviously attack the hitters.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he called slider one time and I shook, and that was the ball I threw. So it's just like, why
Should have
not throw another fastball? You know?
I love the reaction. I'm going to rewind that really quick. Marcelo Zuna having like the best offensive year, arguably, of his career. And the first two pitches in that at bat, he's like, how, what just happened? Right. Like there
Yeah.
was look on his face. And then on the 0-2, it's that response of like, yeah, that's about right. I'm heading back to the dugout. Like he
Yeah.
looked excited to go back to the dugout, dude.
Yep.
Was did you watch the highlights and like just kind of not even in the moment, right? In the moment, I feel like you're probably just trying to like get through this. But after watching the highlights, how much fun was that rewatching?
I mean, yeah, I didn't even realize like what my fastball actually does until I saw this back angle view because like in the minor leagues you don't get that view.
Cut, yeah.
So
That's interesting. So you had
Yeah.
no idea that you threw kind of this natural cutter.
Well, I knew it was that, but it's just like I didn't really know what it looks like until this view.
So when you saw that, like, and you had that realization, did that go at all into any sort of like, hey, I should do more of this because I didn't know that my fastball did this?
Yeah, it definitely definitely helped me realize like how much more my fastball plays, especially at the top of the zone. So
Very cool. Now, when you got the call to come in, you'd already been called up to the Cubs for what, 6 days, 7 days?
yeah,
There was a
it
lot
was
of
like
sitting
5 or 6,
around.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of sitting around, and then you get and you know it's a 9-2 game, so it's not like it was a close game, but you get told you're facing Albies and then Ozuna and then Matt Olson. Like, what was the thought through your mind on that?
I mean, it's just like what I tell a lot of other people that ask like who am I facing? Like what goes through your mind? It's just like you gotta can't look at it like that in my
Mm.
opinion, because like when you start thinking about that stuff, like I feel like that's when you start getting in your own head and like it affects your whole outcome. So it's just like just remembering like you're there for a reason, you got good stuff, obviously. Like just come go attack the hitters.
Sitting down for 6 days before you actually get your first inning, was that helpful? Was that just driving you crazy? Like, where were you at that point?
I think it was definitely helpful because it definitely got like my nerves out of the way. Because like the first day, I was like very nervous, like, but after a few days, kind of just like picking everybody's brain, like getting kind of settled in definitely helped, in my opinion.
So, former teammate of yours, Ben Brown, also got the call up earlier in the year, and you guys did play on the same team at some point. You were in
Yeah,
double A together,
double
right?
A, yeah.
So, he gets the call up basically the same day he gets to go in the game. First inning, scoreless. Second inning, gives up 6 runs. Do you talk to him or anyone else maybe that had made their debut recently and like ask for any sort of advice of like, hey, this happened to you, how do I do the same thing or how do I avoid that? Was there any sort of conversations like that?
No, I just more of talked to like Hector Neris and Mark
Oh,
Leiter. Like I talked to Mark Leiter a lot because like I mean obviously they've been in it, he was a good guy to lean on, talk to and talk through things with. So I was very thankful to be with Mark as long as I was able to.
so when he was dealt away, was that tough for you to see the guy that you were leaning on the most?
Yeah, it sucks, but like you saw it coming, he was pitching really good. So
A lot of guys that I talked to said that Neris was really a fun guy and a leader in the clubhouse. What else can obviously he didn't have the season that he wanted to, but what else can you say about the impact that he had on you and how it helped you and maybe other guys in the bullpen?
just to like realize like you can't let one outing affect like what you do the next few days, like you just gotta have the same attitude and it's so be it, like so what if it happens, it happens, it's just like you can't let it affect you because like if not you kind of will spiral down. So and he really had a happy like cheery attitude the whole time, like no matter what the outing looked like, no matter what he did, he was always pretty much the same, not never really up and down. You could
Did that
never tell.
surprise you? Did that surprise you? Because he always has this look as a competitor of like a bulldog and someone I'd want to stay away from.
No, yeah, like unless you don't talk to him, you're just like, geez, like he's kind of scary for sure. But like once you just like get to know him and like warm up to him, he's a good dude.
By the end of the season, whoever was left on the roster, who did you find yourself becoming the closest to?
Um, I would say Nate Pearson.
Really?
Yeah,
Very
Nate
cool.
Pearson, and I knew Tyson Miller before he came back with the Cubs, so just like kind of those two.
So that's interesting because I just talked to Daniel Moscas and the two of the guys that we talked about that had really positive impacts on the team. Surprisingly, right, was you and Nate. Nate was coming off of a few years of underperforming after being highly touted prospect, and then you honestly, like, you had great stuff, but there was always the walks and the, like, not always being able to put it together. Was there something about being around the big league club that like just something clicked for you, or what was it? Because in the minors, right, you were walking close to 5 batters per every 9 innings, and then you come to the Cubs
Yeah.
and you're only walking like 3 for every 9 innings. What changed there?
I just think it's more a mentality thing to me. I don't know what it is, but like I just kind of figured it out up there, like my mental state, like when
Hmm.
I'm on the mound, kind of just like F you kind of thing.
Nice.
And yeah, and I just think that helped me out a lot in like my working on my posture a lot. Like I focused on that a lot this past off season, and it obviously transferred really well to being repeatable in my delivery and stuff like that.
So that like FU mentality, right? Is that something that you had to teach yourself, or is that something that's just always been in you?
I think reading some of the sports books, mental health books, like
Mm.
kind of helped me like prepare my mind, like clear it and like nobody can really mess with you because like I mean, you're your worst enemy at the end of the day, like your negative thoughts or positive thoughts, like positive self-talk, like all that stuff really goes into play in my opinion.
When do you think that kind of like clicked for you?
I started doing it as soon as I got called up. Like I started having more of a clear mind. I started like clearing. We have a steam room, and like I started like having this routine of pregame stuff, sitting in the steam room and like kind of like meditating kind of stuff. And then I started doing Wim Hof breathing in the bullpen. It helps me
What's
get.
that?
Wim Hof is like the fast breathing and then you hold it. You breathe out. What I like to do is 30 breaths fast, breathe out, hold it, and then breathe back in, hold for 15 seconds, and then do it again. So I do that twice.
What does that do for you? It was
It kind of just oxygenates my body. It makes me feel like um mellow kind of thing, but like prepares me to go out there, like because you're not really thinking about anything besides your breath.
and this is an actual technique that like you didn't just make this up. This is something that you
No,
found.
yeah, you can search it up on the internet.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you said it like kind of happened right around the same time you got called up. Was that a coincidence, or was that like, oh, I got called up, now I gotta like really do some stuff?
No, because I did that stuff back in 22 and I had a really good year in 22 and
You did, yeah.
I kind of stepped away from it.
Hmm.
So I started doing it again and it obviously helped. So I think that's just going to be part of my routine.
I love that, man. That's
Yeah.
that's the stuff that you don't know about unless you ask.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I want to like ask from a standpoint of just understanding as a fan. When you got called up, right? You're turning heads, first 5 outings, no runs. I've got the stats up in front of me, 7 strikeouts and 4 1/3 innings. You only allowed 2 hits. You only walked one guy. Then you had this one, like, not so great outing, 3 walks, 2 runs, and then you're literally getting demoted right after that.
Yeah.
What was that conversation with the organization? Did they say, hey, you still have stuff to work on? Or did they say, hey, this is just because you have options left and we just need to make a move and you'll be back up soon?
Yeah, it's kind of based on that. Like Jordan Wicks was coming back, so it's
Yeah.
just like they obviously had to make a move and it was just me. I pitched 2 days in a row, so I was going to be down regardless.
Gotcha. So it had nothing to do with a shaky outing right before that.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't think that like is the full uh, reason why.
So we've talked a lot about like having a strong mental state. How difficult was it at that point to be like, hey, I got to just trust this process and know that I'm going to be back?
How difficult was it?
Yeah, was it?
Um, no, because like I mean, you can't rush it, Like I said, you got to stay true to what you do, and like everything will work out in your favor if you believe it.
Okay, cool. Keep
In
it
my,
simple.
that's what I think.
Yeah. Well, so you get called up 12 days later on June 19th, and literally 1 week later, you're in your first potential save situation in the majors. You didn't have a single save in the minors, and that's mainly because a lot of those games you were a starter. But what was that like in San Francisco, having to lock it down in an extra innings game and get your first career save?
Um, I didn't even know it was going to be a save opportunity, so I didn't know until I went into the clubhouse, but I
Okay.
mean. I mean, it's a good feeling, extra innings, like it's a close ball game. So, I mean, to get the ball, like I said, just like you got to go after the hitters, and that's what I did.
Well, and I guess that is kind of where my question's coming from is in a close game, knowing that you're getting the last 3 outs, is that any different? Everyone talks about, the last 3 outs are the hardest to get. Did you feel any different?
Um, I mean, you definitely like I feel like you like mentally knows and it kind of gets you pumped. It gets me pumped up because it's just like you can't wait to get the last 3 outs and end the game kind of thing. That's what I got towards the end, especially the end of the year. It's just like you're just that guy and it's just like it's a good role and a confidence booster for sure, in my opinion.
Cool. So after that call up, 33 games, you ended up having a 166 ERA and 9 saves the rest of the way. You pretty much locking down the closer role by the end of the season. Was there just anything else beyond the mental standpoint? Was there anything else mechanically? Was there anything from a position of what pitches you were throwing and what different counts that changed in that second call up that allowed you to be so successful the rest of the way?
I just think trusting the catcher for sure because like I mean I love the way Miggy calls the game and like trusting him and having what is it the word I'm on every pitch you want to have conviction.
Mm.
So just having conviction on every pitch, because I think where my downfall is like whenever I kind of like let off, like that's when I get hurt. So just having conviction the whole time, you're in it for every pitch, have buy-in in every pitch you throw.
Talk to me about throwing to Miguel Amaya. What's we've heard a few pitchers on the broadcast say that they love throwing to him. What was your experience?
I mean, he does his job, he does a lot of research. He pays attention to the hitters. Like he stays true to your strengths. I mean, obviously, like if you have your opinion on the pitch, you shake or whatever, talk between innings, whatever, but like he's usually pretty on top of his stuff.
And you mentioned that he's giving you some advice. I mean, how much did he help from an advice standpoint?
Just like I mean, obviously we're both pretty young, but like he's been in it longer. But he was like just giving you the confidence that your stuff's that good and like remembering that even though like sometimes you may have a bad outing or not.
Was it at all any sort of help for you knowing because you had thrown to him in the minors, right?
Yeah, like a couple times and then he got called up in double A, so
Okay. Well, was there any sort of comfort level there knowing that you'd already thrown to him, or was that just a non-factor?
yeah, I mean, I love the way he literally catches, the way he frames everything. Like he's just I like the way he catches, so I'm very comfortable throwing to him.
I love it. Okay. I'm gonna share another video here, and this is the Dodgers game, which I was at this game. You get your first 2 outs really quick, and then few pitches to Max Muncy, and this starts to happen. What's going on right here?
Yeah, I just think it's just I was moving really fast, pumped up, like pretty big crowd at that game. It's loud environment. Like um I've had it in the past, it's just when I speed up, like I'm moving around too fast and like not remembering to breathe, and then it kind of just goes away and dissipates.
So it's not a you where you start. It's not a panic attack.
No.
Okay. So how do you describe it? Like, what's the feeling as you're going through this? What are you feeling at this point? You're just short
It,
of breath, almost like someone like punched you in the gut sort of thing?
no, it's just like it's almost like my heart is like beating out of my chest.
Oh, wow.
It's just racing really fast. That's what I feel.
And I know a few tests were done after that. Nothing came up that was a red flag.
Yeah, we did a stress test and got all that taken care of. So
Okay. Well, and then a couple pitches later, this happens.
yeah,
PCA, like, how cool is that to see
yeah.
the game end like that?
No, it was sick for sure. I didn't think he caught it, but he caught it.
Did you buy him a Rolex the next day, steak dinner? Like, what? How do you thank him for that?
I mean, it's just part of it.
Just part of it. Okay. Looking back, first of all, in 2024, not just for you, but for 2025, as this season ended here in 24, are there conversations amongst the guys with teammates of like, hey, here's what we got to do next year to get back to the playoffs? Craig Counsell talked about we need to be a 90-win team. Jamison Tyone talked about how players, teams should be scared to come into Wrigley. How do you guys make that happen this next year?
I just think like being more consistent. I know we had a pretty rough June month, and
Mm-hmm.
then I think the rest of the year we did pretty solid. Obviously playing above 500 in the rest of the months, I'm pretty sure. So I just think having those bats always there with us, the pitching staff keeping it locked down, and I feel like it should be pretty self-explanatory. Like we should obviously be a 90-win team, like they've said. It's just like we just got to play with each other, be on the same page.
You weren't really a part of the down months, a little bit there,
Yeah.
right? You were in, I want to say 6 or 7 games. You were probably up with the team for a couple months, maybe, or a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks during that downtime. What was the difference to you? Just the intangibles, maybe that a fan wouldn't see on TV from May and June to the rest of the season. Can you put that into words at all?
I knew everybody was definitely frustrated. I
Mm.
would say is the main word I would put at it. Just like nothing was really going our way from what I saw and I was a part of. So
Okay. So it just felt like what things were out of their control a little bit.
yeah, just like nothing would really go our way. Like it would seem like the other teams like they would get the little stuff go their way and like we wouldn't get anything.
Did you feel like there was a moment when, because July was fine, you guys, I think it was like a 13-12 record. Then August, things really started to go well. Was there something that happened in a game, in the dugout, any one moment where it was like, all right, now we're rolling?
I just think the hitters were starting to figure out together. Um, just talking about more things. Like we had a few young guys obviously in the lineup, and then the vets like helping them out. I think is just like a big key to it.
Mm-hmm. There was, I'm sure you probably heard, at least in the media, I want to know media versus reality. Wrigley Field this year, quote unquote, played like a pitcher's park. There was a lot of stats that show that hitters hated hitting at Wrigley this year, including the Cubs and the home team. Are the guys talking about that?
Oh yeah, like
Okay.
it's definitely hard to hit there. I feel like unless
What
you
was,
just like hit it at perfect right at the scoreboard.
yeah, so I mean, especially guys that have been there for a few years. Nico, right? I mean, Dansby and Cody were in their second years, but Hap, Saya, were they talking about differences this year versus past years?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really talk to the hitters about that stuff. Like
Okay.
sometimes you can hear them talking about it, but I didn't hear any of that stuff.
Well, you're hanging out in the bullpen most of the time.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you say like, that it's hard to hit at Wrigley, I mean, what are some things that guys are saying or frustrated or complaining about?
Just you have like you literally can't put it in the air, especially to right field. I mean left field. Um, yeah, I don't. It's
Yeah.
definitely hard to describe. Like the
Yeah.
wind has to be perfect. Everything, all the conditions have to be perfect to literally go your way. Because you can hit a ball at 110 at what 33, and sometimes it won't go out.
Yeah. So as a pitcher though, you got to love that.
No, yeah, it's for sure. It's nice.
I mean, what does that do for your mentality when you go up to the mound at Wrigley versus, just say, I don't know, in St. Louis or in Cincinnati or something like that?
I mean, yeah, you just like the odds of it going out are pretty slim to none. But it did seem like the opposite team, opposing team, sorry, would get the lucky basket hits, and we wouldn't really get those. That's one thing I will say.
Just like what you were saying earlier, things just not going the way that
Yeah,
kind of out of your control. All right.
just seemed like they had so many basket home runs this year. Com-
So what about you personally in 25? What are you working on this off season to prepare for 25?
Um, just I getting stronger. I want to be able to repeat what I did this year. So just keeping on the right stuff, do what I did last year, and stay on top of my stuff. Don't get behind, and don't get comfortable.
Okay. Um, I don't know many people that know this. I actually didn't even know this. You have a splitter. You
Yeah,
threw it 8 times in 2023, according to Baseball Savant. I said 23. I meant 24.
yeah.
That thing's nasty, dude. Like, why don't you throw that more often?
I mean, I just think I haven't really needed to, you
Okay.
know. I I would love to throw it more. I'm getting more comfortable with it. So it's definitely going to be more in the repetition this upcoming year, I think.
And I think I saw this somewhere. Did it used to be a changeup and then you transition it over to a splitter?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really a changeup. Like
Okay.
it was like I just can't throw a changeup. It's so hard for me.
What,
Um,
just the grip or what?
yeah, just like I can't pronate very well, so it's hard for me. So definitely, the splitter is just very natural and easy just to throw it like a fastball.
Okay. Got it. All right. So then my last question about 25 is like your dream to go into spring training and for Craig Counsell to say, "Hey, you're our closer," or would you rather see a veteran closer coming in and you being the eighth inning guy, or do you care either way?
I mean, it would be a cool thing to be a part of, the closer role, but I mean, it's just like at the end of the day, like there's so many moves that are probably going to be made this offseason, so it's just hard to tell. I'm going to obviously push to be that back end guy, like go about my business the right way, but at the end of the day, it's out of my control.
Okay. Good stuff, man. I've got one last thing here. This is our rapid fire segment. We call it our 27th out. I'm going to ask you about 6 or 7 questions here. You just give me your 1 or 2 word, at most 1 sentence answer, and we'll wrap it up here. Sound good?
Sound good.
All right. What show right now are you binging on Netflix?
Now that they put Dexter back on, I'm finishing that series.
Nice. I finished that thing 3 times. That tells you what kind of life I have. Uh, finish this sentence. When I'm not playing baseball, you can find me. And we kind of
in the
already talked about
in the
that.
mountains.
There you go. What's your favorite meal?
Steak probably
Ooh. What
or
about pregame?
sushi.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What about pregame meal?
Pregame, good chicken and rice.
Okay. Keeping it simple.
Yeah.
Favorite player growing up?
Kevin Youkilis or David Ortiz.
Wow. Okay, so you're a Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
Nice. Have you seen the documentary yet on
I
Netflix?
have yet to watch that.
Oh, it's
I
good.
need to, yeah.
I just finished episode 2. It's good. Um, how a lot of players say that they model themselves after another player in their wind up in their delivery. Is there a guy that you model yourself after?
No, but I've seen people model me after DeGrom. A little
Oh,
mechanics, I
that's good.
guess. I don't know. I saw that on Twitter somewhere.
That's a good guy to be compared to. I like
Yeah.
that. Just stay healthier than him.
Yeah.
Of all of your former teammates that are still in the minors, who are you most excited to be called up this year? And you already talked about Owen Casey, so you can't say Owen Casey.
Um, Probably James Triantos.
Ooh, I like it. All right. Just because I need to know why.
I mean, he's just I feel like he's got a lot of tools, he's got a good bat and he can play good defense.
Cool. Last question. One goal for your 2025 season when you look at the final stat line, when you look at potential awards, what's one thing you want to see as a tangible thing on there for you?
I want to have less walks and more strikeouts.
That's a good thing to always aim for. Porter
Yeah,
Hodge, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much, and best of luck in the off season. Can't wait to see you out there again at Wrigley Field.
appreciate it.